morning, everyone. Welcome back and hi. I wanted to dive into continuing my work with my hashtag tarot grounding plan. So, just to explain that hashtag, basically, I created that as a way if you wanted to join this practice that I'm doing. I am using tarot in a different way and helping myself create a grounding plan. So I'm using tarot to help myself create that plan. Basically, I've had a really rough month and I won't go into it. I went into it a little bit in the previous video, but um, I need to sort of work on a plan, like a practical plan that will help me ground and come back to balance and um, prevent a relapse into anxiety driven and OCD driven behaviors. So I picked out several areas with the help of my therapist, like, areas to focus on that will help me do this. For example, sleep, nutrition, movement, medication, alone time, socialization, being outdoors, intellectual pursuits. So those are kind of the elements that I need to nurture, or not that I need to, it would be better if I nurtured them. And if I am able to nurture them, that helps me regain balance and come back to myself or stay grounded. So I had gone through the entire tarot deck. So I used the Burning Tiger Tarot for this exercise, which is a beautiful collage deck. And what I did was, for all those areas that I'd identified, I literally went through card by card and said, just visually, does this relate to how I see sleep or nutrition or movement or socialization? For example, I had chosen this card, I had shortlisted it as one of the cards that um, I saw for nutrition because this looked like jello. And then I was like, is that nutritious? But anyway, it's certainly delicious. Um, so yeah, I went through each and every one of the cards, not necessarily based on their meaning, but more on the image. So it was purposeful, it was intentional, and then I identified sort of significator cards that would um, relate to that area. So for example, I had the keyword sleep, or the area that I needed to focus on was sleep. And then I had pulled this card because she's laying down and she's got all this stuff sort of pinning her to the ground. And quite honestly, I felt like I wanted to just be pinned to the ground and not leave my bed and just sleep. So that's why. But if we look at the Ten of Swords meaning, it doesn't necessarily relate to rest the way a Four of Swords card might. So the second part of this is I'm going to go through the tarot deck. I have gone through the tarot deck and shuffle and pull at random cards that I believe I need to process sleep more. So that's going to be how I do it. Today, I am planning on doing in this video sleep, nutrition, and movement. Those were three of the things that I wanted to address in myself and just nurture, gain a little bit more understanding about what's going on in those areas and how I can come back to balance and ground. So the first one will be sleep, which is the Ten of Swords. Let's go into the basic meaning for the Ten of Swords. Traditionally, this is sort of that feeling when you are at the end of your tether, at the end of your rope, like really feeling like there's nowhere left to go. You're at rock bottom. So it doesn't really go towards sleep as much, but I found this depiction really beautiful because in a way the image here, the woman is almost gazing away, like ignoring that these swords are being poked in her or piercing her, and it's almost like she's like, I don't give a crap. Like, I need to rest, you do you. So I did want to pull some cards around that, and I did pre-pull some cards because I'm not a fan of like pulling as I'm filming because I just take a while to organize my thoughts. So I'll just put that there, sleep. So I did pull certain cards, and I pulled the Temperance, the Death card. Maybe I move this a little bit more. And the Wheel of Fortune. And what I had asked myself actually was, what is going on? Why can't I sleep? Because I have been having fitful sleep for a really long time, probably the whole month. And in some occasions, bad insomnia. And that does not help my mental health, not one bit. So, looking at this, all majors, first of all, and the reason why I'm not getting enough sleep, and the reason why I'm also sort of relating this to the Ten of Swords is, again, a lot has been going on in my life, and I have not integrated what has been going on because it just feels like it's happened one after the other, and there was no time to breathe and no time to process, and there hasn't been a lot of integration or healing, which is how I see the Temperance card. So there hasn't been a way to sort of accept those things that have happened and meaningfully process them. There has been a lot of transformation and a lot of change. And again, I haven't had the space or the emotional capacity to work through it. And also, things have been changing really, really quickly. But this is also an encouragement for me because I know that now that I am in a space where I can actually look at this and say, hey, I do want to actually work on this sleep hygiene. I am now in a place where I can pull cards, where I can focus on this. And I know that the healing, the integration will come. And even as quickly as the wheel turns, it can also slow down and give me a time to process and integrate. And I also pulled some cards on what are some practical ways that I could potentially do this, because these are very big concepts and I need to sleep like now. So, what are some practical ways that I can adapt so I can focus on my sleep? We have the Three of Swords, we have the Page of Pentacles, and we have the Knight of Swords. So, the Three of Swords. I am going to have to grieve. I see the Three of Swords not as heartbreak, but certainly something difficult happens and it will cause an expansion. Now, I can expand into grief, or I can expand into grief and healing. And this card to me is sort of, if I want to be able to rest, I'm going to have to let myself cry. I'm going to have to let myself vent, and I'm going to have to let myself be sad because I've been trying to keep it together and keep it going and push forward because I had so much on my plate. There wasn't a moment to take a pause and just say, I feel like shit about everything that has happened in the past month. I'm gonna have to let myself feel bad. Or again, maybe not gonna have to or should. It would be better if I let myself feel bad. I'm trying to avoid should statements. And then we have the Page of Pentacles. When I see the Page of Pentacles, this is the archetype that reminds me to sort of take on new projects. While I allow myself to process grief and sadness and pain, I also need to be able to come in and out of that and to pendulate. And if I try to go back to the things that I normally go back to cope, well, what if that sadness, what if that pain is around that coping mechanism? I need something new. So I am planning a few projects that I'd like to get into. One of them is studying Marseille. So just something to keep me busy and something that will distract. And then I have to come back to feeling grief and pain. It is what it is. And then also the Knight of Swords. Logic is going to play a big role here. And in as much as my emotions are all over the place, I still have the capacity to ask myself, the things that I'm saying to myself, or the things that I am interpreting, are they fact or are they feeling? And what's going to serve me really well is to see them as fact and not feeling. So that is the first area that I would like to nurture, which is my sleep. And this is just sort of a reassurance that this is normal. This is exactly why I feel the way that I do and why I haven't had enough sleep. And there are practical ways to help me with that. Okay. So we will put that aside for now. So we've done sleep. The next one that I wanted to look at was nutrition. So nutrition. Man, I love food. Can I just say? And I try to eat healthy, but I also know that balance is needed. Um, and my therapist talked about nutrition as like nutrition for mental health. There are certain foods that really help us with our mental health, and then there are certain foods that, if you take them in the evening, for example, if you take sugar in the evening, that doesn't necessarily help for your what do you call it? For your nervous system to calm down. But if you take it earlier in the afternoon, that helps your pleasure receptors be activated and you still have time to come down from that. So, it's not about not enjoying food or counting calories or doing all these things or macros. For me, anyway, it's not about that. For me, it's about making choices that will support my mental health. And that also means chocolate cake. That's definitely a choice that supports my mental health. So I wanted to pull for nutrition, and this was the initial card that I had pulled for nutrition. So it was the 10 of Pentacles, and I chose it because of all the animals around it. So again, I'm not vegan, I'm not vegetarian. I apologize if talking about this is offensive to anyone. You might want to skip through this portion, but I also love the meaning of the 10 of Pentacles in this case. Like, it's contentment, it's having your fill, it's not too much, not too little, it's just right. So I really liked this interpretation of nutrition. And I did pull the 5 of Cups in answer to how am I ignoring my nutrition? My nutritional needs. And I pulled the 5 of Cups, and I just need to take a sip of my wonderful chamomile tea in this amazing mug. Okay, so how have I been ignoring my nutritional needs? The 5 of Cups. Look, it's been a hell of a month. It's been really sad. It's been really painful. I'm just crawling out of it. And I went through sort of like an ending, let's say, of a connection. And what did I do? I had one of my best friends come over with chocolate cake, and I ordered a massive pizza. Do I regret that? Not for one instant. That is exactly what you should do when you are having girl problems, heart problems, matters of the heart problems. That's what you should do. That's my belief for me personally. But I kind of went a little bit overboard. I was having cupcakes for breakfast, and again, it's not about like counting calories or weight, not at all. But I wasn't feeding myself and balancing out nutrition. So I just have to acknowledge that. And exactly what I need to recover is balance. 2 of Pentacles in my behavior. My emotions definitely affect my actions. And while my emotions are valid and I am allowed to feel them and it's good for me to feel them, and sometimes it's really good to have a cupcake for breakfast, I'm now moving into, okay, we need to come back to balance. We need to come back to grounding. Hence the chamomile tea, which I will take another sip of while it's hot, because it helps alleviate stress and calms you down and helps with anxiety. And having it in a mug with little duckies on the side and a bear that is currently being covered by the tea bag right now, that's part of my nutritional plan. That's all I'm going to say about that. So that is nutrition. And then we had movement. The card that I chose for movement is the Popess, or the High Priestess. And the reason why I chose this card is because you'll see this beautiful blue light escalator going up into a vortex or a moon or another dimension. And to me, this is what movement means. Like, movement in my life helps me move forward out of emotional funks. What do I mean when I say movement? It can be exercise, it can be taking a walk, it can be dancing, it can be a somatic movement that is geared to release stress or release grief or release trauma in the body. It could be intentional movements such as rocking back and forth to help me calm down, or giving myself a butterfly hug or a container embrace. These are really helpful for me in calming down my nervous system. And that's all part of movement. And my therapist and I were talking about it. I have her consent to actually say what we talked about, so I did talk to her about that. But she was mentioning like how a pump you up kind of exercise routine is good for certain things. It helps get your adrenaline going, it helps you feel stronger, feel more active, more energized. But if you want to calm your body down, you could still do that, but you need to close it with some movements that are more about relaxing, more about releasing, and more about grounding. So, this is my representation for movement because I want to be moving slowly but surely out of this sort of desolate space and into the light. So, it was really kind of a perfect card for me. And then I pulled the message, which is another extra card from this tarot deck. And you'll see also a horse here on a road, and then you'll see like an angel above. And there's still this movement. There's definitely like this movement both ways. And it's because a message has to get to you. And to me, again, relating it back to movement and the High Priestess, which is the card of intuition, it's like my body intuitively knows what it needs. And for me to help myself grieve and process and heal, I need to move. I need to accept and listen to the message that my body is trying to send me. Everything is sending me a message, right? My thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, my physical sensations, all of that is sending me a message. And then I pulled the Six of Swords, and I actually had looked at this card as well as a significator for movement, but I ended up with the Popess. This is like, the giant wave, and it's trying to move, and the swords are trying to hold it down. And you can't stop water from moving with a sword. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't pin it down. So the message really is to move and to help myself, and again, get out of this funk, but do so purposefully, intentionally, and not force myself to do things. Like, if I'm not feeling like I want to work out, and I feel like the movement that I need is like a gentle walk, or a nice leisurely walk, then that's what I should do. And then finally, we have the Chariot. The card for movement came up. Like, you can't make this up. I see the Chariot as very slow and steady, but determined, focused and determined. This is intentional movement. This is intentional. I am taking the next steps. And that's what I'm doing by even starting this grounding plan. So, this is a reassurance. I'm on the right track. I had a workout yesterday. I felt really good about that. I am going out for a walk today. I feel really good about that too. I have the option to do a workout today, but I don't think I'm going to take it because I need to have some Zen today. So that's going to be my movement for today, a nice leisurely walk. So this is again part one of me going through my tarot grounding plan. And if you want to watch the introduction to that, I'll link the video in the description below. And also, if you want to do the VR or respond to the tag, please do tag me. I'd love to see it. And yeah, I'm just so happy to be back and to be able to share how I use tarot, and hopefully it inspires you to use tarot in different ways because the possibilities are really endless. So that's all for today. I just want to say thank you for joining me and take care. Bye.